Okay, how about now? Yeah, you should be able to hear me now. Neat. Let me go right back through the whole thing. Okay. So Shadowcast is live every Saturday at 8 p.m. If you can't catch the live show, you can always catch the recordings that are uploaded to YouTube after the fact. Please do like and subscribe because it really does help the channel. And this is supposed to be a like a social interactive show. So I personally I enjoy it when you guys jump into the chat and you add your 2 cents, you give your opinions, or you ask me what my opinions are, or ask me any sort of questions. I enjoy that, but I also think that makes a much more enjoyable show. So please do that as much as you like. Said like and subscribe. Oh yes, and at the end of this episode, I will be going over the magic system for my upcoming book, The Stone of Night. So if you're interested in that, if you want to hear a little bit more about that or ask some questions, please do stick around. We'll be going over that. With that out of the way, okay, now we'll talk about my week and reading and movies and video games. So, what I've been reading this week has been Shadows of Self, which is the second book in the Wax and Wayne Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. And it's I'm enjoying it so far, mostly because this book in particular is focusing on a lot of the themes of religion and sort of what religion, sort of the nature of religion as it relates to the followers of those religions, what they use those religions to justify. I think it's really interesting to ask those questions. That's part of why I enjoyed games like Halo, that really toyed around with religion. So Shadows of Self, I'm really enjoying that. I got about 3 hours left of that, and then I will move on to I don't remember what the name of the second Kate Daniels book is. It's Magic Bite. No, it's not Magic Bites. It's Magic something. I'm going to be reading that. I promised my friend, you, Brittany. Speaking of Halo, I was able to catch the first episode of Halo on Paramount Plus. I enjoyed it. I think a lot of people would enjoy it. It's very quick to get to the action. There's not a whole lot of exposition taking place there. I found it a little hard to kind of gauge the situation that they're supposed to be in. But I don't think it's I think it's still just setting itself up. It is very much a departure from the games, but it's it's a different entertainment medium. You have to be able to tell a story in a different way. I think a lot of people were upset that Master Chief. Spoilers if you don't want to hear this about the Halo TV show. Just mute me for a couple of seconds. But near the end of the episode, Master Chief takes his helmet off. People didn't like that. I don't know why. To me, the helmet was supposed to be the sort of symbolization of him being separate from humanity. He even sort of says something like that in the episode where he won't take off his helmet because he needs it. Because he doesn't necessarily see himself as human as some of the other characters. But in the moment that he takes his helmet off is the moment of clarifying humanity for him, which is something he doesn't feel and something he doesn't something he doesn't know or remember. So to me, it felt really in place. So I don't really think that it's a scene that should catch a whole lot of criticism. I think that's just weird criticism. Um, Mostly, I haven't had a whole lot of chance to play any video games. I've mostly just been playing Elden Ring, which originally I didn't think had a whole lot of story, but I'm starting to feel like it has a bit of a hidden, almost Game of Thrones esque story where you play as the Tarnished, which is sort of a candidate for lordship, for someone who's going to end up as the ruler of the land. And you're only one of many other Tarnished, many other candidates to rule, and they're all trying to get to the same prize. And sometimes they will stop and help you, but it's always in service to their own needs. There's a sorcerer named Rodgir who gets inside of this castle and he can't go any further, and so he'll help you get stronger so that you can sort of take down the boss. And it feels like he's doing that so that he can get farther, because he can't do it on his own. And it feels like a little bit like an intrigue type story, which I like. And it's not something you have to engage with if you don't want to. If you really just want the sort of just, dark fantasy hacking and slashing and dodge rolling, you aren't required to interact with the more nuanced or sort of intrigue themes that I just sort of discovered in this game. But having discovered those themes, it becomes much more clear that George R.R. Martin had a hand in writing this, because it starts to feel a lot more like Game of Thrones once you start realizing that it has a almost pseudo-political theme to it. And I like that. That is my week. If you guys want to let me know what new movies you've watched this week, or what video games you've decided to waste your time on, spend your time on, please do let me know. If you have any sort of recommendations, I'd love to hear those. So, we're going to move on to our first story, and surprise, surprise, it's a Sanderson story. It certainly seems that this is becoming a Brandon Sanderson show lately. Every week he seems to crank out more news stories like they're, his actual stories. This week, he revealed the details of his fourth and final Kickstarter secret novel on his YouTube channel. But that's not the news I want to talk about. Later in the week, Sanderson announced that he and his team would be backing every Kickstarter in the publishing category. And then he did that. So that's really interesting to me, because I think I've already expressed that. Hey Damien, how's it going? Thanks for showing up. I appreciate you. That's interesting to me because I think I've expressed earlier that the publishing category of Kickstarter is sort of underrepresented and underappreciated, and had been right up until Brandon Sanderson announced his Kickstarter and suddenly became the most popular Kickstarter. I believe his campaign passed 30 million on Thursday. Might have been Thursday. I can't remember, but it passed 30 million. It's hitting all those milestones that nobody really thought that any project would hit. And it's so the fact that he's sort of going back and bringing attention to some more of these publishing Kickstarter campaigns is a big deal to me, because it means that no matter what happens from now on, there's going to be more eyes on the publishing category, which is huge for authors or small time publishers, even big time publishers who want to get more exposure for their projects and more traffic and eyes on. Um, and it's a really savvy marketing move for Sanderson and his publishing company in particular, because it's sort of a natural move, but it's not something that a corporate minded entity would make. It doesn't come with immediate benefits. So it's something that only an individual could have thought of doing, and it's something that he could only have thought of doing if he wanted to positively affect somebody else. So that's big to me. Positivity, it needs to be a theme on this show, and I do find that to be an extremely positive and a good thing to do. But it also it gives a lot of projects a chance to succeed that may not have otherwise succeeded. Projects that may not have gotten funded, and then the author or the publishing company may have given up on it for something a much more safer bet. They're getting funded, and those projects are going to live at least a little bit longer. And the people working on those projects are going to be encouraged, I think, and that's a incredible thing to do. So yeah, that's great. Every campaign in the publisher category of Kickstarter, within reason, which means if it's something that's like not safe for work, they wouldn't back it. If it's sort of something that technically it got in under the publishing category, but it's not necessarily that, doesn't really belong in the publishing category. If it's something that's not like a publishing project, that wouldn't have gotten backed. But everything else they went through like just one by one, and backed it. And they actually put a time lapse video on Brandon Sanderson's channel, like showing and proving that they actually did that. So yeah, that's really cool. Once I get a chance, I want to go back into Kickstarter, into the publishing category, and just look and see what's in there and kind of what it looks like now. But yeah, that is the first story. What did you guys think of that? If you have any sort of opinions or anything on that, please do let me know. Let's see here. Oop. There we go. We're going to move on to the next story here. What time is it? 8:17. Okay, we're making good time. Let's see. All right. Last week, Amazon closed a deal to acquire Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, or MGM Studios, for $8.5 billion, which is a lot of dollars. Variety reports that, quote, Amazon believes the real financial value behind this deal is the treasure trove of intellectual property, end quote. So, if you don't know, the logo's about to come back up in a minute. If you don't know what MGM is, it's the studio that has the lion that roars in the beginning of it. It's one of the oldest movie studio. I think it is the oldest still functioning movie studio. I think it's gonna be 100 years old in 2 years, in 2024. So yeah, it's almost 100 years old, and it has a massive backlog of content of just movies and TV shows that Amazon now has access to, which is it sort of makes it the perfect way to become suddenly competitive with Disney, who had earlier acquired Star Wars and Marvel, and really consolidated their their assets and became a huge authority in streaming entertainment and all kinds of visual entertainment. Now Amazon sort of establishes themselves as the as Disney's equal in the streaming space, at least with the backlog of content. As the quote here might indicate, the treasure trove of intellectual property. That sounds to me like Amazon and MGM execs are thinking about either remaking some content, like much older content, or expanding it in some way. One thing that that was made known to me by a TikToker known as Straw Hat Goofy. He also has a YouTube channel. He put on his TikTok channel that MGM actually owns the screen rights to the characters in The Hobbit, which is interesting because, as we know, the Amazon TV show, the Rings of Power, that's coming out this year. I can't remember if it's September or October. It might not be either of those. It might be November. I can't remember. But now that Amazon has acquired MGM and presumably got access to the rights for those characters from The Hobbit, might be an opportunity to expand the storytelling in Rings of Power down the line at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if they sort of took some of those characters from The Hobbit and did a little bit of a kind of a Book of Boba Fett style spin-off where like the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett was sort of the spin-off of the Mandalorian. I wouldn't be surprised to see, the Dwarves of Erebor being spun off into their own sort of little mini series or something, sort of after Rings of Power, and sort of expand the universe that way. I think that would be a really cool thing to see. And I do hope that that's the way they're going, but there's also so many other franchises I'm excited about. The only one I can think of off the top of my head right now is Tomb Raider. I want a new Tomb Raider. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really, really exciting development in the world of entertainment industry. It's not very exciting all the time, but if you can extrapolate from the business deals and all the sort of backroom stuff, it's actually pretty cool. Brittany says, with MGM having such an old backlog, maybe they're about to see another round of classic remakes. That's what I'm thinking. It might be low-hanging fruit, honestly, to sort of look at the classics and the old beloved content that they've had over the last 100 years, and just going through and seeing what can we update, what can we make new and fresh for the new generation, and sort of bring it back to the old generation. I think that's both a safe and smart way to go, and because Amazon has a premier streaming platform, it'll be just that easily delivered to people our ages, a little bit older and younger, who readily have access to that platform. So yeah, it's there's also going to be a lot of hopefully there's going to be a lot of very fierce competition between Amazon, who has all that backlog of content, and Disney, who has access to the the Star Wars and Marvel powerhouses of new content coming out. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the sort of visual entertainment industry starts shaping up around these two titans who are just starting to come into their power and starting to really assert authority over the space. It's going to be real interesting to see how things start shaping up. Yeah, thanks for your comment. Yeah. What time is it? It is almost 8:30. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Right, we'll move on to our next story here. This is my favorite story of the night. Um, I could probably talk about this for hours, but I will try to contain myself. Um, all right. If you're a fan of The Lord of the Rings, you're probably familiar with one of the most common criticisms of the story. Why didn't the Fellowship just ride on the backs of the eagles to get to Mordor? That question has been answered many times, but never like this. Don Marshall 72, who came to TikTok fame as the obscure Lord of the Rings lore guy, took the answer to this question and essentially blew it up into an RPG scenario. And yesterday, he went live with 3 players and live streamed their first play session. So, okay, personally, I've been asked this question many times from many people. Why didn't they just ride the eagles into Mordor? It makes no sense. Why wouldn't you do the easy thing and just very quickly cover all that space and get to Mordor? And I've never answered the question quite like Don Marshall has answered it. And before I go any further, the link to his YouTube channel is actually in the description already. If you want to go check it out, I would please wait until I'm done here. But definitely go check it out. Watch the episode. They all seem to be having a whole lot of fun. Don Marshall's a really good GM, whatever. So I've never been able to answer this question quite like Don Marshall has. He dives deep into the lore of the Lord of the Rings and really comes up with a pretty comprehensive answer as to what happens, which I'm not going to spoil it because it's exciting. But I will say that the scenario he comes up with is kind of like my dream storytelling scenario. That being, it's like a nightmare scenario. I would advise that if you're interested in Lord of the Rings, if you like role playing games, definitely do check it out. He actually partnered with Free League Publishing, which came up with a Lord of the Rings styled RPG system, the One Ring or the Ring of Power or something like that. It's on there, the One Ring, yeah. And they're using that system to play through this scenario, and they seem to be having a lot of fun. I'm excited to see where the scenario goes, and yeah. I think his knowledge and immersion of the lore of Lord of the Rings sort of deepens the storytelling aspect of it, which is not always something that you want in a role playing game, like a casual role playing game. I think everyone involved kind of knew that it was lore intensive. And very story driven. So it's good to see just everyone on the same page with that. That's really a lot of fun. But yeah, the scenario really intrigues me. It's a nightmare scenario. It's sort of the sort of like a reverse of the hero's journey. You know what I mean? It's sort of like what happens if the hero loses and gets obliterated by the Dark Lord, and then the Dark Lord just rules for you know, however long. That's actually sort of the scenario in Mistborn. The hero failed in his task, and the Dark Lord rose to power and just ruled for 1,000 years and turned everything to shit. And you know, the heroes that we know have to live in that shit and figure out how to make it better. That's sort of what Star Wars was too, when you think about it. So yeah, it's a really intriguing scenario. It's something that I'm gonna be watching very closely. I highly recommend Don Marshall 72's channel on YouTube. If you can find him on TikTok as well, definitely do. If you're interested in Lord of the Rings or role playing or just watching people have a good time. Why would you do this? There we go. What in the hell? What in the hell? Oh, I messed something up on here. Oh, I see what you did. All right. Those are the stories that I had prepared. Wondering now if I can talk about the Stone of Night for 30 minutes, and I'm thinking yes. I'm thinking I can. So, yeah. All right. So, I don't want to get too much into. We're gonna. Also, if you have anything to say about any of the previous stories, please do go ahead and jump into the chat. I'll see it. You know, I can respond. There we go. But yeah. So we'll just move right on into the Stone of Night, and we'll talk about the magic system. I don't really want to talk too much about like world building or characters or too much right now. I kind of just want to talk about the magic system right now, and then kind of leave everything else for later. But I think the most interesting part of it is the magic anyway. So we're gonna talk about how it all works, and I have a chart up there, but I don't really want to bring that out yet. So don't worry about that. Okay, so the Stone of Night. The Stone of Night takes place on a continent called Karana. Karana is separated into regions by massive mountain ranges. So it's sort of a circular ovoid type shape, and the ranges sort of spoke out like spokes on a wheel. And that's what separates all the regions. There's 12 regions total. The magic comes in the form of stones, hence Stone of Night. They all have their own little moniker, like the Stone of Sands and the Stone of Fire. The stones are all particular to one region. Like, you can only find them in one region. It's the only one you can find. So the Stone of Fire can only be found in the Lands of Fire. The Stone of Shadows can only be found in the Land of Shadows. So the magic in the stones can only be accessed in specific ways, specific to the type of stone that it is. And that's kind of important, because there's 3 types of stones. There's igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. And each of the 3 categories has a different way of accessing that magic. And igneous is a soft, kind of porous lava rock. If it's an igneous they're called copy stones. If it's an igneous copy stone, you have to break the stone completely in order to access that magic. And it's a very quick sort of burst of magic energy. Depending on what the stone is, if it's a stone of fire, you'll break the stone and get a sort of burst of flame. And you can sort of use that to start a fire or, mostly just start a fire so that you can cook your food on a stove that you just set by crushing the stone and getting that burst of fire, or like heat your home by like throwing the stone in the fireplace and setting the wood on fire and yeah, that's the igneous stone. That's how you activate an igneous copy stone. The sedimentary copy stones, you have to scratch them. They have to be rubbed against a surface that's harder than they are. You have to scratch the stone in order to access the magic. What's a good one? The Stone of Sands allows you to scratch something that's harder than the stone, with something like metal or something like that. And the magic in the stone disintegrates whatever it scratches. It breaks down the atomic bonds and just disintegrates it, turning it into like sand. The sedimentary stones can be used more than once, where the igneous stones can only be used one time because you have to break it in order to get the magic out of it. Sedimentary stones can be broken, just not as quickly as metamorphic stones. Metamorphic stones have to be under pressure in order to get their magic. The Stone of Stars produces like light. You have to be able to sort of put very steady pressure on it in order to get the light, the magic to actually come out of it. Another example is the Stone of Storms, which produces an electrical current. You have to be able to push or to apply very steady pressure and keep it like that in order to get the magic, the electricity out of it. So I sort of came up with this idea because I wanted a society that was dependent on magic, but not one that was sort of like inherent to sort of just like human existence. Like I didn't want something that was genetic or something that could be summoned. I wanted something that was part of the economy. So a stone from a particular region won't appear in another region unless it's traded to that other region. So like the Lands of Fire can heat their food, heat their homes and cook their food with their firestones, but they can't do stuff like they can't easily forge their tools, which you can do with the Stone of Iron, or they can't sort of power their technology, which you can do with the Stone of Storms. I wanted sort of almost a technologically advanced society, but instead of just straight technology, I wanted the magic of the stones to sort of be the centerpiece. And I wanted the continental economy to be sort of a really fragile thing, really dependent on the acquisition of these stones, because trade between the regions over the mountains is really difficult, which is something I'll get into later. But society, like continental society as a whole, has become dependent on each other, which creates sort of a tenuous economy, sort of a really fragile structure of dependence on magic from other places. So the Stone of Night, there are 12 stones for 12 regions. The Stone of Night is not one of those 12 stones, and no one really knows what it does. And it's sort of thought of as it's thought of as different things to different people, because no one really knows what it does. It could be a source of more economic wealth for someone if they can figure out how to use it or what it does. To other people, it's a weapon to defend themselves or to impose their authority on other regions, which is not something that can happen at the moment. So the Stone of Night is sort of the centerpiece of the plot, just because no one's really sure what it does, and everyone's sort of scrambling to find out what it does, and sort of what it means that one person or another has it, that one region or another has it. Talk a little bit more about sort of the relations between all the countries and all the regions later, but yeah, that's the basics of the magic system. I wanted a hard magic system, something that that had clear costs and limitations, and wasn't just clear to the characters, but was something that was also clear to the readers, to the audience, because they're going to be using the stones a lot to solve problems, and I wanted the audience to sort of to be able to understand how they solve that problem, and sort of understand how the nimble thinking of our characters, or the clumsy thinking of our characters, could solve a problem or fail to solve the problem and make it worse because they didn't understand it. Yeah, that's basically it. That's the I wish I had a graphic for it, but yeah, that's the Stone of Night, the magic system of the Stone of Night. I'll be able to go more in depth later about that, but I'm currently writing the Stone of Night. I should be done with it. I was supposed to be done with it by April. I don't think I'm gonna be. But by the end of the summer, I should be done writing the Stone of Night, and I'll be able to talk a lot more about it as we get closer to that. But I think I do want the Stone of Night to be a I don't know if I want to try and get that on Kickstarter, but I think I want the Stone of Night to be something that, like, a crowdfunded project. I want it to be something that everyone who's a fan has a little bit of sort of ownership of the Stone of Night. So I need to look at my options as far as marketing and all that stuff. But yeah, that's just a sort of a quick rundown of the Stone of Night. And yeah, I'm ending just a little bit early today, like about 15 minutes early. That's not a little bit early, but I mean, that is 15 minutes to talk to you guys. And if you guys want to jump into chat, ask me any questions about the Stone of Night, or any of the other stories that I went over. I would love to be able to talk to you guys more about that. Otherwise, do please make sure to like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel, helps me get visibility. Also, if you haven't already, check out Don Marshall 72's YouTube channel. And it's not just the role-playing game. He's got a lot of Lord of the Rings content on there. It's really amazing. He's a great creator. Definitely check him out. Ugh. But yeah, if that's all, I think I'll go ahead and sign off. I'm gonna try and cut some of these videos up and get these out of there. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for me today. That's gonna be the show. Uh, do remember, Shadowcast is live every Saturday at 8 p.m. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot it. So I will definitely catch you guys next time. Hopefully, I'll have a little bit more content to share with you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed the sort of sneak peek into my creative project, the Stone of Night. Um, I'll definitely talk to you a little bit more about it. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about the sort of social aspects and the economics. Kind of thought pretty hard on the economics, harder than I wanted to, harder than I ever thought I would. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what people think of that and see what people uh, see how people sort of relate to it. But yeah, that's gonna be a show. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode of Shadowcast. I will see you next Saturday. Please keep an eye out for the videos; they are coming. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks again. Peace.